Hello, guys, and welcome back to Sweet and Sour Soccer. Guys, today's conversation is one that, as you can see from the thumbnail, it's a big one. And I think it's finally a question that people can ask and really give answers to that maybe you could debate. I don't know. Guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and stick around because, Scott, I'm on the fence with this. For the last 2 days, I've been wondering, where do I stand with Pep? What do I think? Can one final cancel it all out? You've got an opinion that is like 100% on one side. And now I guess maybe it could be validated. I don't know. Guys, is Pep Fraudiola or is he Guardiola?
It is as simple as that, isn't it? He's been called a bald fraud, Guardiola, Fraudiola, amongst other things. And the question is now: is it justified? I mean, let's just give the stats before we dive into it. Over 5 years being at City, £845 million spent.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, isn't it? Over 200 spent just on the defence.
Yeah, I mean, he brought 6 defenders in his second season, didn't he? My God.
I mean, the overriding question before I give my view would be, with Pep, let's face it, every team he's gone to, he's always had the money to spend.
Yeah.
And is it fair to criticise him for that, or is that just because he's regarded as a top manager who earns the right to be at a club where they're going to be like, the team that should be winning the league and has the most spend? Is that his fault, or is that a manager that lacks a little bit of ambition or a little bit of a challenge? And that's what people will say. People, a lot of people are of the view, if he doesn't have his hundreds of million, he'd be a bang average manager.
This is what I'm swinging from. My thinking is this: Pep is either still one of the greatest managers of all time, or he's a David Moyes. And I'm being serious when I say that sounds so bad, but I don't think we're debating here whether Pep's the best or the third or fourth best. It's not that small. Is he the greatest or is he bang average? His exploit at Barcelona, the greatest club team of all time. Not one of, even then, the greatest football team ever. At Bayern Munich, he failed, let's be honest. 3 Bundesligas in a row. Next, who cares? People do that. Do you know what I mean? People do that. It comes to City, yes, he's won 3 leagues in 5 seasons. He's dominated the League Cup, but when you should be winning the league, and you should be winning League Cups, and you should be winning FA Cups a lot if you are able to have a second string that is as good as your first. The Champions League is the one, because that's not about squad depth as much. The Champions League, it's can you beat the next best managers in the world, and he hasn't.
And let's put it this way: as you say, he's won 3 out of 5 Premier Leagues. The 2 he didn't win were the 2 times he didn't have the best team in the league. The other 3, he's had the best team. He's had the most and that's not just purely because of him. That's just on paper. He's had the best team. I mean,
it could easily be 2 leagues as well. Liverpool finished 1 point behind them. Liverpool got 97 points and just couldn't do it. So we could easily have 2 leagues, a couple FA Cups, and 4 League Cups. Then you are thinking fraud.
Yeah, and that's exactly it.
He's got to 1 final in the Champions League. Sorry to cut you off, but he's got to 1 final. He's lost to Tottenham. He's lost to Lyon. He's lost to Monaco. And these are in the last 16s and quarterfinals.
Let's not forget this year, you've got he was on for the quadruple. They've ended up with 2 trophies.
A Premier League, which we expected after Liverpool's injury crisis. I think they won it by January, so then you've only got to focus on 3 trophies. By January, you basically, whether you're in the League Cup final or not. And he played against an awful, awful Spurs team, He lost to Tuchel in the semi-final of the FA Cup. Tuchel's got his number. And I watched an interview that he did with on BT with Rio Ferdinand, and Rio said, Chelsea and Tuchel's got your number. And he said, no, I know what I did wrong. In this final, we know what we have to do. And they were awful in the final, didn't pose much.
So, I mean, look, focusing on that final, no defensive midfielder, no striker. What was that about? I mean,
I just,
I'm not liking this new formation in general that's coming in where, Liverpool play it in a way where, you've got Mane and Salah to give them the goals so they can get away with it. But what is this starting to be where you're not even playing a striker on the pitch? And I think people are going to take more issue with there was no Rodri and there was no Fernandinho. I believe he's only done that twice before across the whole
yeah,
season in every competition that he's not played one of those two recognised central defensive
yeah.
midfielders. And the goal, if a Fernandinho or Rodri's there, that midfield doesn't open up like that.
No, absolutely not. The
So,
worrying part for me
you've
is,
got to you've got to blame Pep.
do City win that game with one of the greatest strikers in history? And I think Sergio Aguero is criminally underrated. I mean, criminally. I see top 10 Premier League strikers ever, and he's not on the list. And I think, wow, he's so underrated. He's not the player he was 5 years ago, even 2 years ago. But to have no Aguero on the pitch, no striker,
And let's
this
not.
isn't a
He only featured for the last 15 minutes as well.
and this is a thing that we criticise Nuno for. This is a thing that Arteta gets criticised for, making substitutes in the 80th minute, 85th minute. The from the first minute till the 60th, nothing's changed. Nothing had changed in that game. You weren't getting an upper leg in the game. You weren't getting a control of the game. So why not make that sub in the 50th minute, half time, 60th minute? He knows at half time that he's 1-0 down. So what do Manchester City have to do, regardless of anything else? They've got to score.
And it wasn't even that. He was 1-0 down at half time in the formation. Sorry, and it clearly wasn't working, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Were they 1-0 down? Sorry, was it? It's 0-0, weren't it, at half time? Sorry.
Oh yeah, it
Sorry,
was.
mate.
So, yeah,
Made that up. But yeah,
do we look at the broader aspect of this rather than a final? If Pep would have won the Champions League at Bayern Munich, because I say he failed there. If he won a Champions League at Bayern but didn't at City, and he's got two Champions Leagues with two different clubs, fair enough. You've managed the greatest club team ever, a great German team with Bayern Munich, and now one of the greatest teams the Premier League's ever seen. People are saying City's the best team in Europe. You have only won a Champions League with Messi, Sanchez, Iniesta, Puyol, all these players. You can't do it at Bayern Munich. You can't do it with Lewandowski. You can't do it with all these players, Hummels, Goetze. Even at City now, can't get it over the line. The bottom line is this. If he took that Liverpool team over, or that Man United team, does he have anywhere near the success? If he takes over that Dortmund team that Jurgen Klopp did, does he win Bundesliga like Klopp did?
it's an interesting one as well. Will talk about the fact that he's brought through Phil Foden, which is pretty much one player, and yes, he has managed him really well.
Yeah.
He's obviously improved. He's obviously improved Stones. Let's be fair to him.
Or has Diaz?
Or as Diaz, and that's the counter question as well. Same can be said for the fact that they're saying he improved Raheem Sterling, or was it just the fact Sterling had a great season in the last?
I don't buy this argument of Pep improving players, because if you can improve players, why are you buying goalkeepers like Claudio Bravo and then selling him less than 12 months later to get in Edison? I don't think he does improve players. He buys replacements. I don't name me 5 players off the top of your head now that Pep's improved at City, and I bet you I can name 10 that Klopp has named before you name 5.
So the first one you'd obviously say Foden, but then the counter argument to that is he's just a young lad who's obviously going to get better.
To get better from the age of 17 to 20 is natural progression.
Yeah.
You can't.
Sterling would be another, but again, I'm a bit like, well, his figures
You
this season have been terrible.
might be able to say Sterling, yeah. Well, did he improve Aguero? Aguero was winning golden boots anyway. He was still banging in 30, 25 goals a season.
Said John Stones, that was another.
But
Um,
what about Diaz? De Bruyne was always a very good player. Has he improved De Bruyne, or is De Bruyne looking amazing because he's playing in such a great team? You
it's a
know,
hard question. It's a hard question, isn't it? Because as you say, the
but
other players.
name me 5 players right now that Klopp's improved. Bang, just like that.
Well, you're gonna have to say Salah,
Mane, Firmino,
Henry.
Henderson, Van Dijk, Trent, Robertson.
Yeah, I suppose the argument would be Trent would be kind of
Young again. Okay, fair enough.
young,
Yeah,
but look. Let me summarise how I feel now at this point. If I summarise it, he was given the objective when he come into Bayern. His objective was not to win Champions League. Sorry, was not to win the
Bundesliga.
German league. It was to win the
Yeah,
Champions League. He failed.
yeah,
Man City, again, he's won Premier Leagues. He's won FA Cups, League Cups. He was
yeah,
brought in to win the Champions League. So the best way I could describe this, right, is imagine you pay for a builder, right? You pay for a builder because you want a new kitchen,
yeah.
right? And he actually builds you a birdhouse outside. Now that birdhouse, it might be nice, it might make your garden look a lot better, but at the end of the day, it's not what you've paid for. It's not what you've hired him to do. So although he might have made the most brilliant birdhouse ever, and it's got loads of different stories. It's got a little place where you can put the food and stuff. You know, a little place for them to nest and everything. He still failed at the job. You're not going to give the cash over to him and go,
Yeah,
fair play for that birdhouse, mate. Don't worry about the kitchen.
yeah.
You've made a great birdhouse, and that's the
Cheers.
way I see. That's the way I describe Pep. He's been brought in to win Champions Leagues, and yes, he's done things that other managers have done, and he might have done it in a bit more of an attractive way. But at the last 2 clubs, for me, he's failed to date because he's not done what
Yeah.
he was brought in to do, and that's why I still think those that want to call him Fraudiola or bull fraud, fair play. You're probably right at the moment.
It's hard to argue. I don't take that. I don't take that premise on board straight away. I can speak to someone who believes that Pep is a massive fraud, and I come away thinking, you know what? I think you're right. But then I can speak to someone else who will say, of course he's not. He's changed English football. And we did a recent video when we talked about Premier League Hall of Fame managers who we chose 5 each. Go and check it out if you haven't already. And I had Pep in the Hall of Fame for the Premier League, and you said he hasn't done enough yet. And I thought it was criminal not to have a man in there who's changed even grassroots football. People are trying to play out from the back at the age of 12. But we're talking about top level football here, and he hasn't delivered again.
Again, and I completely agree with you. I'm not taking that away. As you brilliantly said on that video, you've got kids at a local park now. It's not a 4-4-2. They're looking to pass out from the back and everything. And Pep has a major influence on that. Completely agree. But if you're a City fan now, what's more impressive, that or are you looking at Thomas Tuchel, who's literally come in and won Chelsea a Champions League? You're going to take what Chelsea have done, aren't you?
Got him in the top 4. I think he took over when they were 8th. I might be mistaken, but I think they were 8th in the league when he took over. FA Cup final, Champions League win. It's not just the fact that he lost the final, it's how he lost it. No defensive midfielder, no striker. If he has Aguero or even just Rodri or Fernandinho and you lose, at least you might be able to turn around on the day and say, listen, I mean, Kante was unbelievable. That guy just bossed the game. So you can turn around and say, listen, maybe we lost to the better team. But because you didn't even play your best team, it,
I
you
think
know,
you're right. Tuchel got in his head, and Pep changed the way that he played to match, try and outsmart Tuchel rather than sticking to himself. And you've got to ask questions of someone that does that. I think you're completely right on that one. I mean,
Guys,
look,
let us know. Let
yeah,
us
let
know.
us know in the comments, guys. What do you think? Are people right to still call Pep a fraud? Do you find him quite underwhelming in what he's done, or am I
I've,
being a bit disrespectful? But it
Pat
really
and Pep,
interested on this one. Obviously, you would be too, James, because you're a
this,
bit on the fence still.
I don't
Yeah,
know. I love the idea of Pep being a fraud. It's just funny as hell.
yeah.
A bald fraud. Fine, let's all laugh. But then I look at what he's done and I'm like, I just think, this guy can't be a fraud. I don't know. Guys, let us know. Is Pep only good at building birdhouses? Can he not make a gaff? Let us know. Let us know. Hit that like and subscribe button. Let us know in the comments. Don't be afraid to call him a fraud if you think so. And
And don't be afraid to call me an idiot if you think I'm way off.
no one's afraid of that.
No, that's true. Yeah, and
Take
we'll
care, guys.
like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.